Hello everybody, welcome to Boxing Science. In this video, by popular demand, we're going to be covering triceps for boxing. Recently I did a video about biceps for boxing, and a lot of people asked in the comments and across social media, what about triceps for boxing? Triceps, obviously an important tool for a boxer because of rapid extension of the elbow and of the arm. The triceps are a main contributor to that action. As a boxer comes into contact with an opponent, we're looking for that snap at the end range. The triceps are really important to create that stiffness, to create the snapping action at the end range of the punch. Also, it's really important for injury risk. The stronger that our triceps are, the stronger that the tendon is at the back of the elbow, and the less inflamed that it'll become through repetitive punching action. The tricep isn't as strong. A lot of boxers end up getting quite a lot of pain at the back of the elbow, so we need to make sure that our triceps are strong to help reduce any inflammation or any pain in this area. Even though the triceps are really important to be strong in boxing, it's actually a big problem for boxers, as a lot of boxers become quite underactivated and weak in their triceps. And the reason why is mainly down to the activation patterns during a punch. So as a boxer throws a punch, it's highlighted in this graph here, there's a peak in activation, we then relax, and then we snap at the end range of the punch, and the triceps kick in there. So during that punch, during this dip phase, the triceps are relaxed, okay? So the elbow is going through its main extension phase, the main phase where the triceps will get activated and get strong from. The triceps are relaxed, and then they switch on when coming into contact with the opponent or a pad. Due to this dip, the triceps end up being quite underactivated and underdeveloped. This means when boxers doing some sort of pressing exercises, they can end up failing to get through that sticking point. This is why we use a lot of banded exercises, which we're going to explain in some of our solutions later on in this video. Another problem is that they're unable to isolate the triceps effectively. Because a lot of isolated tricep exercises rely heavy weights with the arm isolated, going into flexion and extension. This is increasing the loading going through the elbows, which get a lot of hammer through regular boxing training anyway. So it's a big problem for boxers. They can't really activate their triceps during boxing, but also during isolated exercises, unable to overload due to the pain that they may experience during isolated exercises. Here are our solutions. First of all, partial range during your pressing. So instead of going for the full range, going partial range, a rack press or dumbbell floor press, this is increasing tricep activation. During a full pressing action, what you can rely on is that stretch shortening cycle of the upper body, that initial bounce and drive to really generate that force and concentric power going up through to the pressing action. When we do this, we might still neglect the tricep muscles. By starting from that dead start, the fixing position where they're predominantly producing that concentric force from the pecs, the shoulders, more importantly, the triceps. And we can really see athletes increasing their upper body strength by doing these exercises. Really driving through the movement, accelerating all the way through to end range of the movement. And the triceps are playing a big role in this. Moving on, we can also add bands to these movements. So adding them to partial range movements such as a dumbbell floor press and the rack press will help increase tricep activation as we're trying to accelerate all the way through the movement. We can also use the bands on full range movements such as a dumbbell chest press, press ups, or the bench press. The main benefit of this is because on normal full range lifts, we look to use the stretch shortening cycle of the upper body, predominantly producing the force and speed from this little short movement here, the initiation of the lift. Using the bands, you can't just get away with that because the bands will end up wanting to pull the weight back into you. So you're needing to basically push all the way through the movement whilst doing accommodating resistance. So this is why banded pressing is really vital for boxers, not only to help increase acceleration, increase power, increase that force at the end range of the movement, but also to increase tricep activation to help improve performance and reduce the likelihood of injury. Then we've got adapted isolated exercises. So we've already mentioned about the shear forces going through the elbow being a problem in isolating the tricep. So there's a few different tweaks that we can do to exercises to make sure that we're not just predominantly just hammering these elbows. You can do tricep cable pushdown, but doing it with a rope reduces the amount of forces going through the elbow, We can do eccentrics, so we can force ourselves into the end range position and then come up into slow eccentric. Again, this is reducing the amount of load on the elbows, but increasing the activation of the muscle. We can do overloaded eccentrics using dumbbells, doing the traditional skull crushers, as they call it, where we're doing it in a supine position, lowering the dumbbells all the way, using the triceps, but then coming into a pressing position rather than kind of doing it heavy, doing a jerking action, putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on the elbow joints. Target the triceps is using high volume, isolated exercises. So your general kind of cable push downs and your elbow extensions, banded tricep push downs, doing this at lower loads, kind of like for 15 or 20 repetitions, rather than towards your traditional 6 to 12 repetitions. This is making sure that we're activating the muscle without hammering the elbow joint. Also, we can do BFR, blood flow restriction training. This is really effective in targeting the muscle at lighter loads. Going for 30 reps, then 3 sets of 15. You can do this on the cable pushdown. Then we've got tricep isometrics. This is great for reducing pain at the elbow. So if an athlete's got an injury, kind of use these tricep pushdowns as an analgesic effect to try and reduce that perception of pain, anywhere between 15 and 30 second holds. Also, you can do it as a performance perspective, because on these exercises, like I said, it's very hard to isolate the tricep muscle at really high forces and high loads. Doing it in an isometric format, reduce the kind of tension going through the elbow, but increase tricep muscular activation. So again, up to the bar, pushing down as hard as you can, doing overcoming isometrics for between 3 and 5 seconds for 3 to 5 repetitions. Fantastic exercise to help strengthen the triceps, expose it to them high forces that you can't normally do with these other exercises. So that's my overview of triceps for boxing. Really important area to consider, but not necessarily exercises that you need to put into every training camp. With these exercises, partial range and banded pressing, these actually go into every single training camp. So I know that the triceps are getting a lot of activation, a lot of development through these 2 exercises here. And they're being overloaded through a main compound lift, and this is what's going to get them stronger. Now, I'd use these exercises such as isolated exercises, isometrics, the BFR training. This is when an athlete has a specific goal, whether they need to put on a little bit more muscle mass, whether they've got a balance between left and right arm, whether they are coming back from an injury. This is where we'd probably use these isolated exercises a little bit more, but I'm pretty confident in our program that we're getting enough tricep activation through our heavy pressing exercises. If you've got any questions about the exercises used in this video, there's some of the methodologies, or anything related to strength and conditioning in boxing, please leave them in the comment box below. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content at Boxing Science. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in the next video.